Welcome, everyone. As you can see, I have my mom here today. Say hi, mom.
Hello, everyone. Oh, it's good to be back here.
It is good to be back. And I'm telling you, I had so many people contacting me and asking me when you are coming back so we could do another video. So, all you people out there, she is here today. And will you tell them what we're doing today?
Oh, thank you so much that you needed me to be back. I'm here. What we're going to do today, I am going to give you a sense of what I think about the collection that is here. There's a nostalgia happening also from way back home. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that and basically just be guided by where you want me to go.
Okay. Well, you're the one who's guiding because she's walked around my house and picked out the plants that she loves, plants that caught her eye. And we're going to go through those and she's going to tell you why she likes them and tell you a few stories about all sorts of things. So we will start with this one.
The African violet. So this is a special one. This is really, really a special one. And to be honest, I don't know how we started, whether it was you or it was me.
Yeah.
But I recall when you were quite little and we had this African violets by the windowsill. And I was always busy doing this, that, or the other as a mother. And you are the one child that always paid attention.
I did.
They need to be watered, not there's too much water. And did you notice they are flowering? And so it's amazing when I look back that this is probably where you started.
It is probably
where your journey started.
Yeah.
Because we always then had African violets in there. And interestingly, they went missing when you left.
They did go missing, didn't they?
Yes.
But this one is really special because it's flowering at the moment, right?
Yes,
so it's got these gorgeous little white flowers that you can see. And this, of course, it's living in Lekka. And this is an African violet that, if you've seen some of my other African violets, you will remember because I've talked about how it's got 4 heads or something. It's got, see, that's one over here. That's one plant there. This is a completely separate plant over here and a completely separate plant over there.
Wow, is this another plant?
Yeah, there's another one there. So that's 4 of them.
Gorgeous. That's really beautiful.
Tiny one there. So I've been meaning to separate them for the longest time. Never quite got there, but
they look lovely the way they are. They really look beautiful. I mean, I walked in here this time around, and that's the first thing that my eyes went to. They just look gorgeous.
They do.
I love this.
That is my beautiful African violet in flower, and there's just so many of them. It is gorgeous. It is loving life, and I need to clean it up. I need to clean it up.
It is.
That's
I love that.
Now, this is another one that you loved.
Yes. Oh, I loved this one. And what this reminded me for are some of my walks in the bush, when I go to the rurals and I see these kinds of things in the forest. And you sort of pass your eyes around and you say, oh, that's really beautiful. And you kind of enjoy it and leave it there. So coming here and seeing it, I was like, oh my goodness.
Yep.
Beauty following us.
Beauty, yep.
Now, beauty with us, beauty in the house, beauty being nurtured, beauty being given what beauty wants to remain beautiful. Oh, this is lovely.
Shucks, okay. I couldn't have said that better myself.
Oh, it's nice.
But yeah, lovely. So this is a Hoya Hirschkeliana variegata. So this is a Hoya. So clearly you're a Hoya head as well. I love this one. She lives in this is a 14 centimeter pot in like a clay balls, of course. Now, I'll show you the one thing I do not like about this plant, right? And it's doing it right now. And I bet you can see what it is that I don't like about it. I'll just raise my table. So when this plant gets a little bit dry, those little leaves
it's dropping leaves.
Yeah. So, it can get so annoying to clean up, but that's obviously my fault because I let it go dry for a little bit there.
Well, I can tell you that maybe this is the one small disadvantage that I see, but can you imagine these leaves falling out there in the forest?
Yes.
They make such a lush carpet.
Yes, this is true. This is true. So this is definitely a situation of this plant obviously is not meant to be in the house. It's meant to be outside where it's meant to do what it's meant to do. And this would be a part of the lovely.
It's beautiful. It's lovely to just walk over. It's just beautiful.
But for me, it's annoying because I have to clean this up now. Let's go to the next one.
Yes, this one. I don't know what the name is, but I can tell you when you meet it in its natural location in the forest. Oh my goodness. I always think this would look so lovely. It's almost like somebody has gone into the bush and has polished it up and has given this leathery look, but it would just be in its natural environment. So I'm so glad to see it here and still looking the same. This is just nice.
This is an
lovely.
alocasia dragon scale. One of the alocasias that thrives in my care, actually. I've had this plant since 2 houses ago. You would know the house that I mean.
Yes.
Yes, I've had this plant since then, and it's gone through many different changes. It was really, really big before, and you can see it over here. And then it's sized down a little bit because of all the house moves, but it's still here. And you know what's really awesome about this plant is there's how many plants in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9.
Wow.
9 plants in there. So every time there's a little corm that develops, that's like it germinates in there.
All right.
And you just get multiple plants.
That's so amazing. So in their natural habitat, we do go through very dry spells, and you just won't see it.
Yeah.
You really just won't see it. But as soon as the rain comes, when it's a little moist and wet, they spring up. They spring up, and you've again got this wonderful, lush environment. This is lovely.
Yeah.
It just makes for a good forest when you go out there.
It does. That is the alocasia dragon scale, looking so scaly.
Yes.
And gorgeous.
Yes. Wow, it is scaly. It's almost like, wow, if I brushed it, would blood come out of there? But it is a plant.
It is a plant, but if you brushed a dragon, maybe.
Yes, if you did a drop, I'm not going to do that.
Let's get into something a little bit more dainty now. You like this one.
This is dainty.
Yeah.
This is really dainty. I think it's the combination of the colors. It's the green that is there as a permanent feature, but it's also how this flower is able to then bring out these wonderful colors.
Yeah.
Again, this is now I have to sort of remind our listeners that I am coming from Zambia. It has a tropic climate.
Yeah.
And these are some of the plants, again, that you see really just enjoying being a plant and still bringing out this. And so what's really wonderful about seeing it here is that you can actually have the same amount of care and it will do what it was meant to do.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
So this is a Caladium Pink Symphony, living in a very tiny 10 centimeter pot in like a clay balls, and just really loving life there. I mean, you can't, this is nature. Nature's art in its purest form.
I like the word symphony. It is a symphony,
Yes,
isn't it? It is just a mixture of colors that might otherwise be impossible, bringing them together and just giving us this beauty that you see in that leaf. Oh, wow.
Yep. Caladium Pink Symphony. Next up, this is a green flame fern. You like this one?
I do. I really like this one. I must admit that I haven't seen this one back home. I haven't seen it in our forest. But when I came here and I saw it, I said, my goodness, this actually reminds me of some of the vegetables. Can you believe that?
Some kale, anyone?
I was like, oh my, is this the bush type of kale? But it just the way that this plant furls and furls, and it's just green throughout. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Being a dressmaker, I know you will appreciate how these ruffles could be a fantastic fashion statement.
And this is one other thing that we share in our household, isn't it? Because we sew, we stitch, and so yes, the frills, you know, the selecting the right kind of material that you can work with and will bring out the frills that are ever such a fashion statement.
Yes.
So this is great. This is just lovely to behold.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. And of course, this one is also living in lacquer clay balls. And what's funny about this is you've got the fronds coming out of the little holes there. This one, I broke that one. Oops, sorry. But yeah, It's happy. Oh, this one there.
Oh, it's actually
It grew
big.
quite big, so I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. I'll probably just leave it. But yeah.
So is this one plant or more than one?
Well, I think they're fronds. It's one plant, so they're fronds that come out
All
of
right.
the center, and then it
Okay.
just gets really, really bushy.
Okay.
You can propagate it by just cutting off a piece.
It's
As long as it's
lovely.
got roots, it will grow.
It is lovely. It's
Mm.
beautiful. I just love the green. It just attracts the eye too.
I know, and I love this pot with it as well.
Yes,
It works so beautifully.
it does.
The gold lip there brings like the veins there, and it just looks
Yeah.
gorgeous. I like it.
Oh, another one of those beauties.
Sticking to the vegetable theme, this is one that caught your eye as well. So this is an Epipremnum, a Shangri-La, and that's propagating. And I've got lots and lots and lots of them. So tell us about this Epipremnum Shangri-La and why you like it.
Oh, yes, the theme of vegetables. It's amazing what the bush can give us. It's amazing what the plant world can give us. And this is just an example. Of course, I remember some of the vegetables that we have back home. And so when I see it and see this fresh green, it's
Mhm.
just this, because when you go and buy vegetables or you go and get your vegetables from the garden, the thing that you are looking for is this fresh green. And this is what this is reminding me of.
Yeah.
It's this green that is now being propagated outside its normal environment, but with the right type of treatment, with the right type of care, this green is maintained.
Yep.
And the plants are actually flourishing.
The plants are flourishing.
They have the capacity to actually become more and more with the right type of care. So I love this.
Yeah. So
I love
this
this.
one used to be on a moss pole, but I didn't want to keep it on the moss pole, so I just chopped it up, and I put all the little propagations there. You can see the roots coming through there. So those are new roots that have grown from the cuttings. Some of them not yet, and that's what's really interesting sometimes when you're propagating. You see, this one has got absolutely
yes.
nothing. It's like nothing is happening, but look at that one.
With time, it will come out, I believe.
It will come with time, but it's just really interesting how some,
Yeah,
go really gung ho, and the others will just
taking
be
their
like,
time.
whatever. I'll
Yeah,
get there when I
don't
want
push
to.
me. Let me grow when I need to grow.
Exactly, and I find that's one of the things that taking care of plants teaches you patience.
Yes, you've got to be patient.
You've just got to wait
Yeah.
and wait and wait, and there's
Oh,
more
look at
here.
that.
And I did put out a call. I asked you guys what suggestions you've got for me. What can I do with these cuttings that's different, that's interesting, that's not putting it on a moss pole? And I got some really, really interesting suggestions.
Oh, okay.
And one of them would be to just leave them as they are and have them just, trailing or climbing or something. But I've got something special up my sleeve
Okay.
that you guys are gonna love. So look out for that Shangri-La video that's gonna be coming soon.
I will look out for that as well. I'm really curious. I'm itching to see how you are going to work with
Exactly.
this.
I won't spoil it. I am not going to tell you.
I will wait.
Let us keep up with the Epipremnum. Let's keep up with the Epipremnums. This is an Epipremnum Manjula. That's its name.
So the question I'm going to ask you, and I'm really asking from a point of ignorance, you have taken this a whole another stretch of understanding the plants and getting their scientific names. But when we had these plants back home, even when you were growing up, there were certain plants that we knew as money plants. I think we had things like this in the house. And of course, there was this belief that there are certain plants that are money plants, there are certain plants that are this, there are certain plants that are that. Of course, certain plants will stop snakes from coming in. So there was just these stories that we used
Urban
to
legends about plants.
Is that the word? Urban legends. But I definitely know that this is one of the plants that we had in the house and we took care of it. But I also know that I do find this plant out in the forest. So what have you found out that's different from what we knew?
Well, what I found out is that there are so many different types of Epipremnums. So many different varieties. So this is an Epipremnum Manjula. And to be honest, I was so young, so I can't remember whether we had a Manjula or so as I showed you before, this is also an Epipremnum. So they're in the same family. It's the same family of plants. And this one back here, this one with the big leaves.
Yes.
This is also an epipremnum. You can see the smaller leaves there. And this is the one I remember growing up with.
Yeah.
This is what we were calling the moneymaker.
Ah, yes.
And that's the one that I think every person had in their house. There'd be strands and strands of this everywhere. This is the one I remember. But what's great about these plants, and something I didn't know growing up, is that this is what they do. You know, if the plant is climbing, the leaves get so much bigger.
So it's interesting. One of the things that I'm beginning to realize that you've really done very well in the house is the moss pole. And the fact that plants can climb and do what you've just described. And I know that when I see some, and I think we are going to look at some of those plants in the forest, they are actually climbing on the tree, on the tree itself. So you will see a little plant at the bottom of the tree, but you just need to raise your head and you find the same plant with big leaves.
That's right.
On the tree.
Yep.
Starting really as a small and really latching onto the tree. That is so amazing.
And that's what they do. They're called epiphytic. They latch onto things like trees, stones, and they're just climbing. And it's something in that climbing that, you know, allows the plant's leaves to get so much bigger. And what then happens is as they keep climbing and climbing and climbing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, they start to get holes. So even these epipremnum plants starts to look like, I don't know if you can see, they start to look like this monstera here.
All right.
They start to fenestrate and get holes. And one of the theories is that happens because the plant is saying, well, you guys down there in the shade, you're in the shade because I'm now so big and I've got my big leaves shading you. But I know you need some sunlight. So I'm going to create these little slits so that the light can come through for all the plants that are down there.
Interesting explanation. The question that I have, though, is are they feeding off the tree? I guess you can answer that with the moss pole.
Some of them are feeding off. So where you've got these area roots.
Yes.
Oh, shucks. This one has these area roots. So that's what they use to latch onto the tree, the rock, and whatnot. And depending on what kind of surface, they are known to actually derive some nutrition from that. And that's what a moss pole does.
Wow.
So with a moss pole, you are allowing for that climbing and for that height. But what you're also doing with the moss pole is watering the moss pole.
So the feeding can go through those area
through
roots.
the little area roots. And then it's like you're just maximizing your plant's capacity to absorb nutrients. And then, of course, it just grows really, really big.
Lovely. Wow, I'm just getting a whole new world of the plants that I knew many years ago, but beginning to know them in a different way.
Yeah, so am I. Because I knew it. But also, you're telling me we had a mandula at home.
I couldn't tell you if it was a mandula. I'm telling you that we had something like this.
And I'm going to tell you that a mandula a few years ago was one of the most prized plants in Australia or in Melbourne or definitely, I don't know, maybe around the world. I don't know, depending on where you are. But I will tell you that I paid close to $100 for one leaf.
Wow.
One leaf.
So here you are now.
Well, now mandulas are everywhere, right? But back in the day, you could not find a mandula in the store. You had to know someone who knew someone who was selling a leaf.
Well, this is interesting. You asked the question, did we have a mandula? And I just wouldn't tell you whether we had a mandula or not. All I know is we had a plant like this.
And
what it now says, when I go back, I'll be a bit more careful.
You should.
Especially when I'm in the bush, just to say which plants I'm now seeing in the forest. Because the forest is such a good keeper. The forest is keeping all this.
Of course, because that's where they come from. So yeah, note to self.
Yes, not to self indeed.
Okay, this is another one that you liked. This is the money tree, a Pachira aquatica. Money tree. Very popular plant.
This is just so amazing. Again, allow me to talk about home and what this plant reminds me of. It's so delicate. I mean, it's got these delicate stems. And then it brings out these leaves. It actually reminds me of what we call cassava back home. The cassava tree, I think in the Latin Americas, they'll call it manioc. But this is how it comes out.
Yeah.
And we actually eat.
Yeah, I was just going to say we eat the leaves.
We eat the leaves.
Yeah.
They make such a delicacy in terms of vegetables. You will prepare them with the ground peanuts, peanut butter. They really make a delicious meal, but they also produce the tubers.
Yes.
I don't know whether this particular plant does that, but the one that I'm reminded of produces the tubers, and the tubers is actually the cassava, and back home we'll actually cook it fresh, or we will dry it and we'll make a powder out of it that we then use to make our staple dish that we call nshima.
Yeah.
Which
is yum, by the way.
Yes, it is a yum. It is a yum. Yes.
No, I'm saying the shima is yum. It's delicious. But yes, it's a kind of yam as well.
So you are introducing all sorts of things, and of course there's a whole food discussion around what this plant reminds me about. But again, it looks really well taken care of, beautiful. And, does it maintain the same number of leaves?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. So this one, I'm looking at this, and this one has got 2, this one has got 5. But I'm looking at this one has got 6.
Okay.
Yeah, this one has got 6. And I think in Chinese culture, and I could be wrong here, I think if you've got 7 leaves on one of these leaflets, it's considered lucky.
Okay.
So if you have your plant that has got 7 of these, you're really lucky. Go and buy a lottery ticket because this is your lucky day.
Well, I found one with 6 here. So
yeah, well, 7.
Let's keep waiting for the 7th one to come out.
I keep checking. I check every month.
Take care of this plant till we get the one with 7.
Well, talking about taking care of this plant, something fell on it, and this stem is actually broken, I see.
Oh.
But it's growing. It's fine because
it's mending itself. You can see that.
This is a new leaf, so
this is, again, just reminds me. I guess at the end of the day, I can say walking in here and seeing all these plants, it's almost like I flew so many thousands of kilometers from Africa, and I came here and found this that is just taking me back into the African bush.
Where you came from.
This is lovely.
Yeah, that is my money tree. Of course, living in Lekker clay balls, and this one is living in one of my Leafy brand ultimate pot sets, and I think it really loves it. There you go. That is my money plant. Money tree. Oh my gosh, there's so many money everythings. Talking about money. You liked this one.
I did, and this looks very delicate. It's almost artistic. All the plants truly are, but this is, if you look at where the leaves are perching there, and the way the leaves are, it's just so artistic. It's just plays to the eye. It's beautiful to look at, and every time I pass it, I can't help but stop a little bit and just admire and just
because it's beautiful. I love this. This is a Chinese money plant, and it's also called a friendship plant. And they call it the friendship plant because it does things like this. So this little thing over here, this is a small plant.
I've seen
that's coming out of it. It's a little plantlet that's coming out, and you can actually just chop that little plantlet, plant it in soil or whatever medium you're using, and gift it. So it gets so many of them. So you can have like 10 or something, and you just give them to all your friends. And that's why it's called a friendship plant. This again is a plant that was very, very popular and very, very expensive a few years ago. You couldn't get it.
But just look at it.
But now, everybody's got one. And I had 3 very, very big ones. They grew so big. I got sick and tired of them, threw them out, but I kept one little plantlet because I couldn't bear to be completely parted from it.
It's doing what it should be doing, and it's just looking marvelous. It's just looking lovely.
So that's the Chinese money plant. That's a Pellier plant.
Wow.
You liked this one. This is a Hoya shepherdi. It is beautiful.
It is a beautiful plant, and when you see a plant like this in the bush. So I don't know if you remember the praying mantis.
Yes.
The insect, the praying mantis, because it has a similar shape. So when I looked at this, it just reminded
you of a praying mantis.
Of the praying mantis.
Okay. I could have never come up with that, but yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yes, but also to just recognize that this is a plant in its own right, and does it climb?
It climbs, it trails, it does all sorts of things. So at the moment, this one it's trailing. You can have it climb. So this one will probably, if you leave it, you can train it so it can, if I've got like a stream or something, I could have it go in that certain direction, or it could trail. But it will go where it wants to go. It's a Hoya. They go everywhere. If you remember what my grow tent looks like, they're just vines everywhere.
Yes.
It's chaotic. So I'm going to need to come up with a plan sometime soon as to what I'm going to do with this. But yeah, it's looking really good in its tiny stage.
Yeah, this just reminds me again of being in the bush. And of course, the praying mantis came to mind. And when I looked at it, I was like, how will I know if I'm in the bush and I see this and there's a praying mantis? Or would a praying mantis actually be playing around this? Because that would provide a good camouflage for it.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, it is.
You liked this one. Let's look at a moss pole plant.
Yes, and the reason that I liked this one was really its relationship to the moss pole.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at it, I'm now in the bush, and I'm looking at it because it is climbing, it's on a tree, and it is going vigorously, and it's very, very healthy, but it's simply following the tree.
Yeah.
And those leaves, you see different colors from the bottom right up to the top. As the plant is going, I just love the stems as well. They are so strong.
Yes, the red.
Yes, they are really, really strong, even when you find it in its natural habitat.
The red is amazing. So this is a Philodendron Autumn Queen. And of course, when I got it, it was that tiny. And this plant was actually part of a plant challenge that I did with a few other YouTube plant people. Oh gosh, where could I put it so you can see? Yeah, it's getting in the way. I'll put it here. And the remit of that plant challenge was grow the biggest, best plant you can grow for a plant worth not more than $20.
Wow.
So I got this one, and I've been growing it for 6 months, I think we did. And I'm sorry to report that I came second in that challenge.
Well, there will be a next time, I hope.
Next time? Yes, there will be a next time.
Where we will come out first. I can say that now. Yeah, we will.
But I also do have to say that the win was well deserved by Plants by Melissa. So, not a sore loser.
Okay.
But I'm really happy that my plant still continues to live. It wasn't just for the challenge. And this. So one of the things that the judges mentioned when they were judging my plant was the fact that, yes, it looks very lovely and it's growing really well. And of course, yes, it is growing in leca. But they said, well, the leaves don't look like they've grown that much bigger from when we started, which, at 6 months would have been maybe there. So this is the kind of leaf that we were talking about, and, the bottom. And, there was nothing I could do about that. Plants are different.
I know.
But, hey, look at it now.
Yes.
I think if we had gotten to this stage, maybe I'd had a better chance. But, yeah, that's my Autumn Queen, loving it.
Truly, I wonder whether it also says something about leave us alone. We will do what we need to do
in our own time.
Don't hurry us along. So yeah, but I love this.
Yeah,
I love that.
That is the Autumn Queen, and like you said, the colors on those leaves are just to die for. To absolutely die for. Okay, next up we have our ZZ friend. So I've got this is a Z. This is all the same family, right? This is a ZZ Zenzi. This is a ZZ Jungle Warrior or Raven. I don't know. It's black. So this one is completely green. This one is black. And this one is a ZZ variegated. You can see it's got the little yellow, not yellow, white. It's got the little white leaves coming through there. So you like a ZZ plant?
I like a ZZ plant because I think that I first saw a ZZ plant here. Mm-hmm. With your collection.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, is this an artificial plant or is it real? Then, of course, you explained it was real. But what that did...
Because also, artificial plants, no, thank you. I'm a bit snobby like that.
What do I know, though? So, when I went back home after my last visit, I now started paying attention. And we do have ZZ plants back home.
Okay.
Although I have not seen them in their natural habitat in the forest, I've only really just seen them potted this way and being taken care of. I love the idea of the way it looks. And I am now constantly watching out when I'm in the bush to see if I can
if you
find
can
one.
find it. I don't know if you can find one, but I'll tell you where I saw a ZZ plant.
Okay.
I saw a ZZ plant in the bathroom at Puerto Yato.
Wow.
Yeah, and I took a picture of it. I'll have it on screen somewhere if I can find it. But yes, I saw a ZZ plant at Puerto Yato, so that was nice.
So I certainly would love to go and do a bit more research to find out whether these are they home in Africa, or do they come from another continent, or maybe different parts of Africa where we have not seen them. But I definitely have not seen this in the bush. But since I saw them here, I've now been looking out, and I've seen quite a few ZZ plants, and they just look marvelous. I like the way they are so committed to their color. They are committed to their color. So if you have this color, you will have this color.
Yeah.
This one is just amazing.
Yes, this one is different. The ZZ's NZ.
Different.
Yeah.
There's just this curling that's going on.
The curling
here.
of the leaves is very unique.
It's really, really unique. I can say that I haven't seen this particular one in Africa. And certainly I'll be looking out and would love to have a bit more information in terms of the origins of this plant and where it grows in its natural habitat. I'm sure it would grow back home.
I can't tell you that. I have not looked into where it comes from. So, you can see how the thing that I really love about the ZZ plant is when the new stalk comes out, it's always a little bit brighter. So this black one, for example, when it comes out, it's actually green, and then the color deepens, and then it becomes black. And you can see here as well, this is the newest one. You can see that it's quite light green compared to the others.
Yeah.
And that color is going to set, for lack of a better term, and then it's going to look like the others eventually.
It's a beautiful, it's almost like it's flaunting. It's, uniqueness. It's different. It's beautiful, but it also just retains this color.
Yep, it loves it. That is ZZ plants.
Wow.
Yeah. I've got, how many other? I've got an Ekabono, which is a yellow type version. So instead of this white variegation, it looks yellow, and that's just really gorgeous. And then I've got another much bigger one, which is just green. So instead of this, which is black, it's completely green, but that's really big. It's a bit of a hassle to move up and down everywhere. So these ones are representing the ZZ plant family.
Yeah, beautiful again.
Okay, we now have here the Hoya carnosa compacta. Everybody, my mom is officially a Hoya head, okay? Because Hoyas are beautiful. Look at this one.
I accept that title given me.
Yeah.
Because these are just fascinating. I can't tell you that I've seen them anywhere else. Actually, when I first saw them, I thought, is this an ornament?
Yeah.
Is this living? So it just amazes me that you have a plant that goes and curls itself in this way and still continues to grow and thrive.
Yes. But why? But why is also the question.
Exactly. So I don't know.
Maybe
something that you want to do some research.
I don't know. Maybe it's just making home for little insects that live in it. I don't know.
That is a possibility. That again is one of those that I would certainly want to know what is its natural habitat. What does it do? I think there's a plant that actually feeds from insects. This is not one.
No, this is not. No, that's not it.
Yes. So there must be a reason why. Should there be a reason? Maybe not.
Maybe not. I don't know.
It's just beautiful. When I saw it, I just loved that it can curl and it can continue growing. And it's actually going completely out of its pot, going on a journey somewhere nobody knows where.
It is going on a journey. But I really love this plant. I've had it for a long time. For me, in my environment, it has been a bit of a slow grower. So getting it to this point has taken years, honestly.
Wow. Wow, look at that.
It's a slow grower for me, but who knows?
It's just majestically going on.
It is.
Slowly.
It is. And this is a tiny one, this is a variegated one. And you can see how you can see this white on the inside. So this one is called an inside variegated one. And then you have another one, which that variegation is on the outside. So it's completely green in the middle and white on the outside. So that's called an outside variegated one. I killed that one. I did have all three. I killed my outside variegated one. I need to get another one.
Oh, okay. Did you intentionally do that? I think there's
No,
something
no,
wrong.
no, 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 no. That
Okay.
was a long time ago when I didn't really quite know what I was doing.
But this is beautiful.
So I
just-
killed it. But this one is thriving, the inside variegated one, and growing. You know,
Yes.
takes a while, but look,
Slowly but surely,
it'll
it's
get
getting there.
But yeah, that is.
But I just loved laying my eyes on this one and just marveling at what nature does.
Mhm.
Really, that's what it was about this plant.
We will stick to another Hoya.
So, what was interesting for me about this particular one is that I kept thinking, if I saw this in the bush, I probably wouldn't notice it. I'll just bypass it because it will just be amongst, but here it is flaunting its beauty and growing. I'm not too sure what's happening with the stems there.
Oh, that's just how it starts. It sends out the vines. It sends out lots of vines. Sometimes the Hoya vine is a long with no leaf inside. And then you'll see there these little knobs there. That's
will be
where
the leaves.
Yeah, the leaves will come from there.
So yeah, that was for me. I had to stop and say, hey, what's going on here? If you were in the bush plant, I probably would have bypassed you, but you look beautiful.
Which is quite sad because this plant is quite outstanding. It is a Hoya rotundiflora and it has rectangular shaped leaves.
Does it flower? Do you know?
That's what the flower looks like there.
I love the flowers because I've seen some Hoyas that are flowering. I haven't seen
this one hasn't flowered for me just yet. I've had it for not very long and I've been propagating it. So you can see it's in a very small pot compared to the other plants. And I want it to be a very full bushy pot. So I've been chopping and propagating and trying to fill up the pot so that when it starts to trail, it starts to look like that.
So it is a showstopper because it stopped me.
Well, yes.
It really kind of stopped me when I said, oh my, there is something going on here. And the leaves are brilliant. Somebody was doing some mathematical whatever here because they've got this square form.
Yeah, the calculations.
Yes. Yeah. It's a lovely green.
Yes, it is. It is a very deep green.
Beautiful little wonder on its own.
Hoya rotundiflora.
Lovely. Really lovely.
Up next is a showstopper. Every time I have this plant on screen, somebody is bound to say something about it. This is my watermelon peperomia, and this one caught your eye as well.
It did because the leaves really is like you're looking at a picture of watermelons.
Yes.
Picture of watermelons.
And who doesn't love a good watermelon?
I know, right? I mean, back home, this season actually is watermelon season. So by the roadside, you'll find people that are selling watermelons, and this is what you're looking at. But looking at this, what went through my mind was this plant, this spindly spider type stems that holding these dainty
little
leaves,
petioles,
at the end of them, and it's just like a celebration of life in the forest, a celebration of this plant just brings out that celebratory fact that a plant can be majestic. A plant can, just bring to us memories of things that the plant itself is.
Do you know, when you were talking about watermelons and people, it being watermelon season or water, I had the weirdest memory that just came out of nowhere. I remember how Grandpa Asekulu used to love watermelons.
Yes.
And he would get us all grandchildren together and he would chop up the watermelon and we would all be standing outside eating watermelon.
So that's such a great remembrance. And because watermelon has always been a strong feature in our home. And so can you imagine coming here and you walk into the house and you see this plant and you're like, watermelon. And then you look and you say, it is actually a plant that is managing to give us this picture of a watermelon. But in itself, it's just majestic.
It is. I love this plant. I've had it for a while. I've propagated. It's living in Leka, actually. A lot of people think it's impossible. It's living in Leka.
Wow.
And that is it there. But, I think it's not looking its best right now. I think that there's lots of dying leaves. It's just become a little bit too much. And I think, like with everything, it needs a reset.
It probably
Yeah,
does, but
yeah.
it's wonderful the way it is. I can see some new leaves coming up
Yes,
as
there's
well.
lots of new leaves all the
Um,
time.
Oh
But
yeah, really.
I think I'll propagate some of this, propagate, and then just start a whole new bowl.
It is watermelon season the world over
Yeah,
with this
well,
plant.
It is. Watermelon, a peperomia. I know that you love my Calathea orbifolia, and you've loved it for a really long time, as do most of us, as do I. This plant over here. Now, unfortunately, some of you might know, my members might know, that my Calathea orbifolia has been attacked by thrips. It had some serious pest infestation and it is down for the count. Now, I am rehabilitating it. I've, sprayed it to half to death and gotten rid of all the pests, and it's now just trying to come back. But, I'm very pragmatic and I'm a realist. And I'm thinking, well, if that plant doesn't come back to its former glory, I need another Calathea orbifolia. So this is a new one that I have bought in its stead for now, and it is going through the process of being put into leca. So I'm just gonna let you talk about the Calathea orbifolia using this one as a stand-in.
Well, so I was introduced to this particular plant through your videos, actually. I'm
Yeah.
sitting so many thousand kilometers away from you, and then you come in your videos and you have got this big thing that's, it's flaunting
Yeah.
in its glory. And I'm wondering, is that a plant? And then I come here and I actually get to meet it
Yeah.
face to face and just marvel at the beauty of it. And so, of course, as you mentioned, it's no longer existing in that same glory,
No.
but certainly exists in my mind. And so, seeing this come up, I love your tenacity to just make sure that you keep this in the family, so as to
Yes.
speak, because this is a member of the family. And so, let me talk about why I love this. I just love this because it is the symmetry of it. The lines, the colors. It's just, again, one of those plants that is just marching in its beauty and saying, watch me.
Yes.
I am beautiful.
Yeah.
I am adorable. And we adore this plant.
We do.
It's
We adore the Calathea orbifolia. We
it's
do.
just wonderful. It's just wonderful. So I'm so glad to come and not see the one that we saw before, but see this as something that is coming up. We're certainly going to keep watching.
No pressure, Nora.
No pressure, no pressure, no pressure. But you already introduced us to a picture that we are keeping in our minds about what this plant could look
What's
like.
possible.
But let me also say kudos to you, really, for persevering and just giving us the beauty of what nature can provide, but we see it in the comfort of the house.
This is true. Thank you.
Yeah, really, this is wonderful. This is marvelous.
Yeah,
I love
Calathea
this.
orbifolia. People, this is my new Calathea orbifolia. Okay, we have the Chlorophytum commosum Bonnie. Curly Bonnie. This is a spider plant.
Yes, spider plant. Remember where we started? We started with the African violet and the history. For me, for the African violet, the spider plant shares that history because at some point in our journey with plants, in your journey actually with plants in the house, again, when we were much littler than little, really, we had a spider plant. And I remember of the children, you are the one that kept on, was really interested in, what's happening with the plant. And you'd come and I didn't even know what this was.
Yeah. Did it have those?
Yes, it did.
Oh, wow.
It did. And
it had the little babies, the spiderettes.
Yes. And you would say that and of course, I would always say, keep it to yourself. You have to.
Nobody cares.
You have to keep calling me to. But you were so interested in this spider plant. So yes, confirming that we had the spider plant.
Okay.
And the reason why I believe, if my recollection is correct, the reason why we bought the spider plant many years ago, it's just that it has this picture of a grass. It is a grass in the way it presents itself, because that's the type of grass that you would see back home. But it is truly an elegant plant in its own right, because it grows and it looks like a grass, but right there is the end of any comparison, because it then grows to be its own type of plant. And it, again, there's a freshness to it. It does not lose the freshness.
Oh, I'll tell you something though. About the freshness. This particular plant, we went to Warrnambool. I'm sure you've heard the other one talk about Warrnambool a lot. We went for 4 days. It was really hot. And when I came back, this spider plant did not have any water in the reservoir, so it was dry. And this green looked almost blue, light blue. Yes.
I haven't seen that.
Exactly. You wouldn't see it in the wild, obviously, because there's always moisture around.
Yeah.
But it almost was light blue. It wasn't green anymore. And when I watered it, I put water back in the reservoir. Within 2 days, it went back to green. I was like, whoa.
So that's an education really for me. So this plant has always presented itself with this wonderful green element that just makes it beautiful.
Yeah.
And it maintains the different colors in one leaf. It actually maintains those colors. It's
But what I do wonder is when you look closely at the leaves of these, you can see that they're all different. So some of them have got like a big yellow white stripe, and the other one has got like two. The other one doesn't have the tiny stripes. I'm wondering whether each leaf is unique and different.
Well, I can only tell you now that because you've gone into this and you actually pay a little bit more attention than what I definitely did, you can see this. What I saw was just this wonderful ornamental plant that you put there, and it's got its own language. It is speaking about its own beauty. But what you're saying now, I can actually see there's some leaves that are completely green, actually.
Yeah.
And others have got a very tiny streak of white, while others have got more white than green. So, wow.
Yeah.
What an interesting plant. What an interesting. So what it's also saying to me is that if we stop and pay attention, these plants have got a lot to teach us about who they are, about their own personality, that if we paid attention to, we probably would know how to take care of them better.
But I'm also thinking you could translate that to our own lives and how we're all different.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, the blades of a spider plant are all different, but they're all adding to the beauty of the overall plant.
And they're coming from the same plant.
Yes, they're coming from the same plant.
They can
be different.
Yes,
just like siblings are very different.
Oh, tell me about that. Tell me about
Enough
that.
said about that.
Yeah. Oh, this is lovely. I love the spider plant.
Okay, you like the bird of paradise. Tell me about a bird of paradise.
So I don't know why it's called the bird of paradise, but when I saw it again, this is the sort of the moving theme around my being here, is that I'm really reminded of what I see when I'm back home, especially by the rivers and streams. You will see this type of plants with the fronds. Really, almost it reminds me again of the banana.
Yeah.
A banana
grove.
Yes, exactly. It's just these huge leaves that, again, very green, very lush, very much in your face, very much there, very much alive, and quite elegant, really in their own right. Speaking, singing a song, we're here.
I'll tell you something for free, something you didn't know. Now, I know a little bit about the bird of paradise, and it was named after Queen Charlotte, the wife of some English king or something. Strelitzia. Yeah, Queen Charlotte. So that's where the elegance comes from, Queen Charlotte.
It is elegant. It is, and that's what I see. And when you see the smaller leaves, they are beginning their march into elegance. They're beginning their journey into elegance. When you see them in the wild, they are really, you see, they're a lot of them,
Mhm.
but the same majesty, the same
Mhm.
kind of beauty. They are, I mean, they grow this long and you don't quite find them breaking. They are quite
Yes.
strong in
Mhm.
retaining this shape.
They're very robust because you'll find with, especially obviously with plants that are growing outside where they're meant to be growing, there's a lot of wind
Yes.
that comes
Yes.
through. So the plants actually develop some kind of, they become more resilient. They become stronger. Their stems, their petioles, they're a lot stronger to withstand all that. Ours in the house are a bit flimsy because
Actually, when you mention the wind, because you can actually view them when there's a wind, and they will be swaying,
Mhm.
but not breaking.
Exactly.
Swaying and not breaking,
Mhm.
and that greenness is just lovely.
Yeah.
It's just lovely.
That is the bird of paradise. And this plant is actually living in leca clay bowls as
Wow.
well. There is lots of leca in there. It's living in a lechuza pot with leca clay bowls, and it is very, very thirsty.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Yeah, they desire water.
Yeah, it is quite dry right now, so I'm going to need to fill that reservoir up. So we will
Right.
move from the bird of paradise to a plant that I know is very, very much close to your heart. Move this baby over here and bring this one over here. It moves quite easily.
Oh, I can see that.
There we go. Now, I know you guys will not be able to see how far up this plant goes. Hang on. I'll need to do something. I'll show you. There we go. That is the ceiling. Let's talk about this fiddle leaf fig, shall we?
So this is amazing. I'm actually quite impressed that this is still here.
Yes.
Because it was on a visit here that we picked up this baby, this
Mhm.
wonderful plant.
We went to the Grove Center.
Yes.
And we were at the Grove Center, and this lovely lady walked up to me and gingerly asked if I was the leca queen.
Yes. And I was like, do they know you?
I'm like, excuse me, mom, I'm a star.
And I remember whispering to the lady and saying that I'm the goose that laid the golden egg.
Yep.
So anyway, that's a story for another day.
Bye-bye story. But they gave me this plant.
Yes.
They gave me this plant, FOC.
I let me tell you what I thought when you picked up this plant and you brought it home. And I said to myself, I didn't tell you this, but I wondered whether you were going to manage to keep this plant alive.
Yep.
It was huge, and you were going to put it in leca. And I think you started off by putting it somewhere, and I was looking, and then you were meant to have propped it in some container without the leca initially.
Yes.
And we needed to keep it straight.
Yes.
And so we started working with this
brainstorming,
and we really missed your sister, who is an engineer.
Yes.
At the time.
This is correct. If you haven't seen that video, it's linked above and in the description below. So she helped me put this plant, and I think it was only up to here when we got it. It wasn't that all this is new.
Yes.
We put it into a bucket.
Yes.
And it underwent the long method.
That is the long method.
That's the long method. And you helped me tie everything up so it could stand upright.
Yes. And it was at that point that we felt like if Rachel was here, it would have been better. Rachel is the engineer in the family.
Yeah.
But now, oh my gosh, this is over a year.
Yeah, this is over a year now.
Well, the first thing I want to say is congratulations. You kept it alive.
It's alive.
It's alive. But not only that, it's grown.
Yeah.
It has grown. I am so amazed. And I'm quite delighted, actually, that if we pay attention, we can actually keep nature the way nature needs to be kept. And this really is an example of a good piece of work done here. And I don't know what you're going to do, whether you're going to have to break your house to allow it to go up there, but it looks like it has reached your ceiling.
Well, unfortunately, it is a concrete slab up there, so breaking the ceiling is not an option. Yeah.
But, well, congratulations. I'm so delighted to find this here still, and to see that. Actually, I can't even see any leaves that have dropped.
Well, I was just going to tell you that. So when we did that, there was absolutely no leaf drop on this plant. I was expecting there to be leaf drop, which would have been a normal thing to happen. But there was absolutely nothing. And there was only one leaf that dropped off right at the bottom, and it was like really old, and it was going to drop off anyway. It came that way from the nursery. But everything else is in place. And once I then transferred it from the water, the long method, into the leca, and this plant just has not skipped a beat.
Wow. So we can live with nature if we respect nature and do what nature expects.
And do
of
what
us.
nature needs. Yes.
So well done.
Yeah.
Well done. I'm just so pleased to see this.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. This is what was called my philodendron lickety split, is now called a Thamatophyllum bipinifitidum.
Okay. Don't ask me to remember that. I'm not going to try and remember that. But when I see this plant, one word comes to mind: resilience. Resilience, especially in this particular home.
Yeah.
Because this plant loves to take space.
Yes.
It goes out.
Yes. Its arms are going everywhere.
Its arms are going everywhere. It's almost like it's got a mind of its own, in the sense that though the arms are going everywhere, it's got a way of, saying, you know what, I gotta survive.
Yeah.
And I see you've sort of captured some of those arms, but I see that it's still thriving.
Yeah.
It's still thriving. So this is, again, I cannot say, because I don't really pay attention to the detail. So I cannot say that I have seen it in the wild, but I've seen plants like this.
You have definitely, well, I don't know about the wild, but you've definitely seen it, because there's loads of these plants at that cafe in Lusaka, Three Trees Cafe.
Okay.
And when we were there, I was taking lots of videos and pictures of this plant to show it growing in the wild.
Well, because I also do go into the rural areas where nature is just left to do its own thing. And there are plants like this. Some of them are climbing onto trees. Does this one do that? I can see
it kind of stalks a little bit, and it'll climb up a little bit, and then the leaves at the bottom will sort of fall off. And then it usually almost always looks like a very bare stem, and then it doesn't climb up so high. Not that I have ever seen it climbing up so high. I think it more likes to spread. I could be wrong, but based on what I've seen it doing around, it doesn't go up. It kind of just spreads around.
It spreads around.
Yeah.
So I don't know what its water consumption is like, but I know that I see plants like this near the rivers, near where there is water, and somehow they just seem to thrive and retain this deep green color, even when we are in a season where we don't have that much water. It will still thrive. So again, this just reminds me of home.
Yeah, I love the shape. The shape of those leaves is just, it's beautiful. This particular plant actually had the same thrips that my Calathea orbifolia had. So some of the leaves are not looking their best, but it was not as bad for this one. I think this plant definitely has a lot more resilience than a Calathea orbifolia.
Oh, it's marching on. Oh, this one is moving on. This one is growing. It's going places, and it's still kind of flaunting its beauty. And just keep it up.
So this plant, you've got a love-hate relationship with this plant as well, because right next to this plant is where your room is.
Yes.
And it's just, it's got these, you're constantly having to sort of make your way out of your room.
Especially if you remember that especially at night and you're coming out of your room, you're still half asleep. And then it reminds me of that film we watched so many years ago of the Triffids. Is this...
Don't start with the Triffids. One, the Triffids is telling people exactly how old I am. And two, it was a very scary film.
Well, let's not talk about how old you were or how old I am. Let's talk about how this plant has been able to retain its presence. It has retained its presence, and it's there. I see it.
You're not the only one who hates it, actually. I think it's the most hated plant in my collection by the people of this family, because you can't go past this walkway without brushing into it.
But isn't that where the resilience comes? Because we do brush into it. We certainly do brush it. It gets brushed into much, much more than any of the
Any
other
other
plants.
plants.
And here it is.
Yeah.
It's still flourishing.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I love it because right in front of that is the front door.
Yeah.
Right. So when
it's
someone,
the one that's sort of greeting people
everyone,
coming in.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's my point. You know, and I'm like, I decided that this plant is going to live here, and I don't care. And I really wanted it here so badly. I got a grow light for it up there. So it's got a light that shines onto it. So it's got all the light it needs to just grow.
It is. It is. And it is growing. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, anywho, this is enough from us. Thank you so much, Mum, for looking over my collection and sharing your thoughts and sharing which plants you love with my viewers.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful. It certainly reminds me of home. And I do hope that my snippets and my thoughts are of some kind of help in understanding the environment we come from, but also in appreciating what is happening here.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, and she will be back because I've got something really big I need to do with a monstera plant and another big moss pole that I need help with. So
Okay.
in the next few days, we'll be making another video.
All right.
All right.
I'm still here. Thank
Bye,
you so
everyone.
Bye-bye.